Hub Worlds. That's it. That's the video. Okay, understood. Bye. Turns out I actually have a lot more to say about Hub Worlds. I love Hub Worlds. I would even go as far as to say they're one of my favorite parts of a video game. Some people don't like them though, which is weird to me because like, we live in a hub world when you think about it. What? Are you saying you don't like the world you live? Wait. Yeah, that makes sense. Even so, I think hub worlds rock, and I've decided to take you back to a time when I dreamed of living in these worlds. A time when younger me thought the world was perfect, and the only big worries I had was, what game am I gonna play next? Where am I gonna build my imaginary secret base at? To me, these were my homes away from home. Sonic Adventure. A perfect video game with not a single flaw. Huh? As a kid, this was literally the best game ever. And as an adult, it's literally the best game ever. Seriously though, this game is absolutely badass, and I absolutely adore its hub world. What I always looked for in a hub world and what makes me enjoy them was how much there was to do in between parts of the game. I think this game took me like an entire summer to beat because I just could not stop messing around with the 6 characters available. I'd try to find all the secrets in Station Square or Mystic Ruins, and then I'd go into the jungle and get lost for a long time because my sense of direction is just absolutely awful. I loved running around as Sonic, seeing how fast I could get from one end to the other, or using Tails to try to fly to the highest points of the map. It's just one big sandbox for me to play in with all these characters. The world opens up to you as you keep playing the game, which I always love in a hub world. I like, you know, being edged on to it a little bit. What? I like that the hub world opens up as you're playing the game. I kind of like being pushed on to keep exploring the hub world over and over as opposed to just doing it all at once. There was even a third hub world you would unlock at some point in the game, and it was just this giant death spaceship that Eggman built, and he called it the Egg Carrier. And for some reason that Egg Carrier had a minigame that you could only play as Amy. Why did Eggman put this in here? And there was also this pool that was always filled up with water with a door at the bottom, and unless you're Knuckles, it's always gonna be filled with water, but if you're Knuckles, you go in and you go into the sky deck that way. There's just a lot of little stuff sprinkled around the map like this where you'll find something as one character and realize you need a different character to access the area. You could do literally anything you wanted here as long as you had a little bit of imagination to go along with it. You want to go into the city sewers like the little rat you are? Go for it, dude! You want to fuel your crippling gambling addiction? Oh buddy, does Station Square have a casino for you? You want to walk around the maps as Big the Cat for some fucking reason? It's your God-given right to do that! Okay, but seriously, why would you do that? Don't do that. Have some self-respect. I might be the only one who thinks this is awesome, but really early on, you face Eggman in the friggin' hub world. To me, that's insane. I love that. I feel like there's not enough games that have boss fights in the hub worlds. Sure, the boss in said hub world is nothing more than...
Wow, he said the line.
But that is not the point. There's also points in the game where you'd be transported to the past, which let you explore this big-ass stone city and talk to all these echidna. They didn't really say much, but it was still cool to have another area to mess around in, especially as Tails. I love using Tails in this area. Again, there are so many little secrets around the map, like the fact that you can find these different Metal Sonics, which made 8-year-old me decide that Metal Sonic must be some super secret boss that I had to unlock. In my defense, I played this game before I had the internet, so I was left up to that I mentioned earlier. I went over to the Master Emerald with as many different characters as possible because I had convinced myself there was some way to unlock this super secret boss fight through the Master Emerald. It eventually dawned on me that I probably needed to collect all 130 emblems to do so. I mean, that would make sense. You had to beat all the stories to get the Supersonic story, so maybe there was some big reward for all emblems. I did not do this. Bro, have you tried to 100% this game before? I was 8 years old. There was no fucking way I was going to do that. I will say, it was pretty validating later on in life to find out that Metal Sonic was in fact the reward for collecting all 130 emblems, just as a skin for Sonic though, and not a boss fight. Well, that was half right.
Are you gonna talk about the Chow Garden?
Fine, but you asked for it. In each of the hub worlds, there was its own respective Chow Garden, which is essentially just a pet simulator where you raise and grow these adorable little creatures called Chow. There's a lot of debate on whether these are a part of the hub world, but this is my video and I do count them as an extension of the hub world, so we're gonna roll with it. I'd like to get this out on record right now. I love the Chow Garden in Sonic Adventure 2. In Sonic Adventure 1, the Chow Gardens kind of suck. Raising the Chow in Adventure 1 felt pretty limited, and have you seen these Chow Garden? They're pretty awful to navigate around. Who thought of this? I understand it was their first attempt at doing this, but man, this was just not it. I'm sorry if you love the Chow Garden in Adventure 1, but to me, I just can't take it, and I do not want to spend a bunch of time talking about it. Again, I really do love the Chow Garden in Sonic Adventure 2, but we're not talking about Adventure 2 because Sonic Adventure 2 doesn't have a hub world. Why doesn't it have a hub world? I don't know, probably because Sonic Team hates me and doesn't want me to be happy. It's okay, at least we're on an upward trajectory of Sonic games, so maybe we'll finally get that Adventure 3 with a traditional hub world. Please. It's entirely possible that I have a track record of unconditionally loving games that are considered polarizing. If Sonic Adventure wasn't enough to shock you, then perhaps my obsession with Banjo-Tooie will. I want you to listen to me right now. Banjo-Tooie is the single greatest 3D platformer that's ever existed on this planet. God damn, I love that game. I love this game, dude. Infinitely more than the first one, which I also love. You know, it can be frustrating at times. Yes! And I know the hub world, Isle of Hags, is often criticized for being way too big. Me though? Nah, man. Isle of Hags is almost my favorite part of the game. Almost. The first time I played this game, I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And you know, Isle of Hags just felt like I was on this massive island. I loved Banjo-Tooie for having a darker story and tone. I mean, hell, Grunty kills bottles in like the first minute of the game. If that doesn't set some type of sense of urgency, then I don't know what will. That sense of urgency kept me exploring on and on. I wanted to see everything this place had to offer. You go and try to meet this king of the Jinjo village and he dies almost immediately, and then you try to go to the houses in the Jinjo village and you find out, oh, there's no one there because you gotta go find the missing Jinjo in the world. Dude, what? Dude, what? As you're exploring the island, you'll discover different areas of the game that pretty well represent the level that you're about to visit. As you're getting closer to these levels too, the music starts to change to kind of reflect the type of level you're gonna do, but it's still a remix of the really awesome overworld theme. And they do a really good job of making this world feel connected and like I know where I'm actually gonna be headed. And for the most part, each level makes sense as to why I'm entering it from the hub world. You jump down into a mine shaft to go to Glitter Gulch Mine. You enter an amusement park gate to go to Witchy World. Though I will say, why is Half-Fire Peaks on this random like stone house on a cliffside? That doesn't make any sense to me. You'd go up to the jiggy-headed man named Jiggy Wiggy and he'd be like, hey, I'm Jiggy Wiggy, go play this puzzle minigame 500 times to unlock the levels. Well, at least the developers wanted to keep my brain working, I guess. The further you progress through the island, it feels like you're ascending higher and higher. Something about me that you should know is I'm a sucker for being high up, so whenever I see a location like that in game, I can't help but be extra immersed in the world. Again, Isle of Hags is absolutely massive, which I've seen divide the fan base for my whole life. I've personally stayed on the side of loving the size of Isle of Hags, and I will probably continue being a Banjo-Tooie dick rider till I'm dead. After all, you've got multiple types of fast travel, including one with my buddy Jamjar, who sounds like and a train conducted by a giant coal monster that's just down to conduct it for you, despite the fact that you... People aren't giving this game enough credit. I feel like people forget that this game was originally on the Nintendo 64, and it is really impressive to just see how interconnected and intertwined and big this level is for that hardware. Please do not mention that Banjo-Tooie ran like absolute dog water on the original N64. Your facts will hurt my feelings. Oh yeah. And if all that wasn't cool enough, you can also visit Spiral Mountain in Grunty's Lair, which serves as the first game's hub world. That's so fucking cool, man! Despite being pretty destroyed from the first game, Spiral Mountain still lets you go and do the tutorials of all your moves that you kept from the first game. That's pretty sick. And Grunty's Lair, while you can't explore most of it, Cheeto's here. That guy always had my back when I felt like cheating legally. I watched a close family member play this game when I was young, and I remember watching them go and get this ice key. And then I watched them get the ice key and go unlock a safe that gave them this giant fairy Globo thing. Now, I know what Globos were. You give them to Humba Wumba and she gives you a transformation for a level, usually of some animal or thing. However, I didn't know what this big Globo was for until I watched them take that Globo to Humba Wumba in the overworld, jump in that transformation pool, and out came Banjo and Kazooie. So at first I'm like, what's going on? Did we not get a transformation? Was the Globo for nothing? No. You did get a transformation. Transformation you got was Kazooie turning into a fire-breathing dragon. I mean, talk about mind-blowing to a child. I was too stupid to understand how to unlock that for myself, so I was just freaking out every time I watched them play the game. And that eluded me until I got the Xbox version of the game and went to collect the ice key right there.
Huh? The ice key in Banjo-Tooie's Xbox port is actually found inside of Banjo-Kazooie thanks to the restored stop and swap feature. This is something you would have known if you were a real fan, you stupid fucking bitch. You are a fake fan, fake fan, fake fan, fake fan, fake fan.
Okay, that's fine. I love Banjo-Kazooie too. I'd love to go replay that game just to get the ice key. I'm so glad they implemented stop and swap. Yay! Allow me to introduce the very first game I ever laid eyes upon. I was absolutely too young to understand what was going on, but one thing stuck out to me, and that was... Every time I load up Paper Mario and I enter Toad Town again, it feels like I'm visiting my hometown. I know Toad Town is more of a hub, well, town, but I feel just as strongly about this little hub town as I do other games I'm talking about. I was 3 years old when I first laid eyes upon this game, and again, I barely had consciousness. I was probably eating my own face. I really didn't get it. But it wasn't until a few years later when I was gifted a copy and I loaded it in, I heard that music, and all of a sudden it all came flashing back. I just knew something about this game was special once I was finally able to form opinions and not just pick my nose. I could honestly go on for hours and maybe even days on why this game influenced my entire taste of video games, but I'm gonna limit myself for now. If you had to ask me what a perfect hub is for a video game, I might say Toad Town. Which for you youngins out there, this was before a time when Mario RPGs flooded our lives with Toads every 2 seconds, and this was when you were still actually excited to see Toads in a Mario RPG. The Toads actually felt like they had their own personality and weren't just Toad copy number 1, Toad copy number 2, Toad copy number 3, and so on. You only get part of the town for the first couple of chapters to kind of get familiar with your surroundings. But even in that part of town, there's still a lot of stuff you can't do right off the bat. By keeping the area restricted and opening it up slowly as you're playing the game, it does make it feel fresh to keep coming back here since you are required to in between each chapter. It's got your classic RPG needs, you got your multiple item shops, including one that sells badges to make you stronger. You've got a rest area to sleep to fully heal you. You've got the post office where you can go and take some side quests. You got the dojo that's blocked off at first, but once you get to go, you get to fight some special fights all the way up to a super boss that may or may not kick your ass. I loved fighting that super boss as early as possible. Pretty much every time I replay the game, I try to see how early I can do it. There's this weird pig gambling game where you can get items. I don't really know what that's about. It's got a bar and a port and all these awesome cool things to explore. You got a nerd that can tell you a bunch of information because all he does is read books. You got the weird fortune teller guy who helps you out multiple times. There's so much to see in this town, yet it's so small. Listen, the way Toad Town connects to each area of the game is just absolutely brilliant. Except this pipe to Mario's house? Why the hell is this just in the middle of the road? Seriously, whatever. It's still really fun to discover the secret room that Luigi writes his diary in. After you get past the initial grassy plains that starts every Mario game, it doesn't take long for things to get kind of wacky. You gotta take a train to the desert, cool. You gotta go through this infinitely repeating forest that only has subtle signs to get you through it if you wanna go to the spooky place. And then imagine you're coming back into town and Shy Guys have overrun the whole town, so all of a sudden this hub world that you've grown to love is overrun by these little assholes. That's my home, damn it! So then you chase them down, and then you find out you gotta shrink down and go inside their little toy box, which is located inside the hub world. What the fuck? Okay, I'm getting a little sidetracked, and I haven't even talked about the sewers yet. Oh yeah, that's right. If you thought going inside of a whale to help his tummy ache wasn't gross enough, there's an entire sewer system that serves as the second half of the hub world to Paper Mario. Sewers are even more interconnected to getting you around the game. I mean, there's some fast travel rooms that have pipes in them to take you to all the different chapters of the game. Just like above ground, you have to get the right partner or the right ability before you can progress the whole sewers, which I love. Found Cheat Ripto, and he ripped me off a few times before finally giving me this really awesome badge that I never actually used. And then when you try to leave his area, you go through a pipe, and then whoa! There was a locked house in Toad Town that you couldn't get through this entire game, and wow, the sewer is actually connected to it. It was a little secret. I was extremely happy, probably because I was easily pleased. Pretty much everything I've praised about Toad Town and its sewers could also be said for the game's sequel, Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door. Paper Mario, the Thousand-Year Door is genuinely my favorite game of all time. I struggled really hard to decide which game to talk about for this video, because I mean, Rogueport is awesome in its own right. That being said, I am way more nostalgic for the first game's hub, and a lot of these ideas were reused in Thousand-Year Door. Not that that's a bad thing, just it is the thing that is present in the game. Don't believe me? Just like in the first game, most of the town is blocked off until you progress. Okay, that's pretty normal. There's multiple item shops and a badge shop, just like in the first game. There's an NPC who cooks your items together and makes stronger healing items, just like in the first game. And there's a sewer system that connects to everything, just like in the first game. Do you see the similarities yet? Regardless, I think this game cooks arguably just as hard, if not harder. So you can't make me pick. I'm just gonna talk about them both, because asking me to pick is like asking me to choose between my children. If Toad Town was my hometown, then this was the city my parents warned me not to visit. I mean, shit, you get robbed almost immediately getting here. I can see why they might not want you to go there. There's a shady mafia boss you have to help out a few times. There's literal fugitives hiding from the law in the back alleys. There's a fucking noose in the main part of town. What's good with that? I almost felt rebellious exploring. Felt like I was a little bit more mature, somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. Whereas Town felt comfy and familiar and safe to me. Rogueport felt new and exciting and scary. Rogueport also has the man himself, motherfucking Toadsworth! The sewers were also so much better in Thousand Year Door. I mean, listen to this song. And also it had the Pit of 100 Trials, which is like a gauntlet of 100 battles, which is so much cooler than the dojo's like 5 battles you get in the first game. I also like that the sewers actually matter a lot more in Thousand Year Door. In the first game, they definitely didn't feel nearly as relevant to the story. Whereas in this one, the Thousand Year Door is actually in the damn underground sewer area, so you gotta come back here in between each chapter. At some point, I just decided to channel that I had as a kid, and I'd just start pretending both games were one big world. I'd create my own challenges, like Mario's gotta take this thing from Town to Rogueport, and then I'd set up the TVs next to each other, so it was kind of like I was doing that seamlessly. Did I mention I was a lonely kid? Okay, if I really wanted to, I could make this video go on for 18 hours and 46 minutes, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. So really quickly, I'm gonna go over some other game levels that have made me feel these same emotions, but they aren't hub worlds, but it's my video, and I just wanna put them here. Liberty City from Grand Theft Auto 3 doesn't count as a hub world, so to say, but I still felt all the emotions I felt from the other games I've talked about with this city. When I first saw this game, I had never seen anything like it before. I was only a Nintendo kid up to this point. It's a genre-defining game for a reason, and at the time, the graphics were absolutely mind-blowing to look at. I was just completely overwhelmed with what I saw. I loved exploring the open city, driving different cars and following the law like a good citizen. I remember going to school one day and my friend brought one of these like cheat code books to school, and I flipped through it and I saw GTA 3, so I quickly wrote down the codes and I took it home. And once I discovered GTA with cheat codes, I increased my playtime by 500%. I'd like to mention that I've also never beaten this game. I think I've played like hundreds and hundreds of hours of GTA 3 and I've never beaten it. I don't think I've actually beaten any GTA game besides GTA 5. These games are just too much fun to screw around in. I can't help it. I talked about Sonic Adventure at the start of the video because that's the Sonic game with the hub world that means the most to me. But really, any Sonic game with the hub world would have me spending countless of hours in, regardless of whether it was a good game or not. This does include Sonic 06's absolutely horrendous hub world. I still loved playing in it when I was younger. Maybe it's Sonic that feels like home to me and not the world he's in? What do you guys think? Gosh, 3D Mario games too. Peach's Castle, Delfino Plaza, Comet Observatory to a lesser extent. I loved exploring those worlds. Shit, I would spend so much time in those worlds in between levels. Like, I just didn't want to go do the levels. I just wanted to mess around there. And fuck it, I don't even need it to be a single player game for me to have these feelings about a level. That close family member I mentioned earlier in this video, they're the one who taught me how to use my... I simply imagined living inside of the city map from City Trial in Curvy Air Ride. This sky house is mine, fuck off! I think it's safe to say my love for hub worlds might just be connected with my childhood desire for games to not end. Hub worlds gave me a way to expand the game I was playing as long as I wanted, and it helped me really feel connected to the games I was playing. Sure, I probably spent longer in those games than a lot of you would, but I absolutely cherish all that time I spent, and I absolutely would not trade it for anything. And while I like games to end now, my love for hub worlds is still here and stronger than ever. I still get giddy if I play a game and find out it has a very interesting hub world to explore. I love connecting with my inner child and feeling the emotions I felt 10, 15, 20 years ago, just as strong as they were then. I'd like to thank you if you've made it this far. It truly does mean the world to me, the amount of support I've gotten since launching this channel, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. If you'd like to stay connected with me, you can follow me on Blue Sky or subscribe to the channel. I know that notifications can be finicky, so I do recommend using that bell, but you don't have to. For now though, I'm gonna go ahead and get back to work on the next video. I hope to see you guys there. Yeah, that's about it. I don't know how else to end the video, so Luffy, say bye.